Erin.
And I'm Katie.
And you're listening to Ropedrop Parkhop.
Welcome back.
And also welcome back.
Yes, thank you.
Katie had a road trip this weekend. That's all it was.
I spent so much time in the car this weekend. I'm done.
Yes. She got in. It's like 120 degrees here. Yeah. And I got into her car this morning and she had her seat heaters on.
Yeah, for my back.
Because she's so sore from sitting in a car.
Because I'm a young chicken.
Where did you go? What was your route?
We drove up to Seattle.
Yeah.
And that's about a 7.5 hour drive from here.
Yep.
So up through Oregon, Washington, up into Seattle. We stayed the night in Seattle for 2 nights. And then my crazy husband got on a bike Saturday morning at 4 a.m. Well, he got up at 4 a.m. He was on his bike at 5 to ride 206 miles. Is that what it was? 201? I don't remember now. From Seattle to Portland. And we sort of followed him. We met him halfway in Washington. And then we drove the rest of the way to Portland and met him there. He finished around 7 p.m.
So that's a 14-hour race.
Yeah.
That's
a long time to be on a bike. I almost think my stamina for sure couldn't get me that far, but I think mine would be so saddle sore.
Right. Like, how does it not hurt?
I don't know.
How do you ever walk again?
I don't know.
Also, my kids, so we talked to them the night before the race. Mm-hmm. And we were all on speakerphone. So Katie's whole family could hear everything and my whole family could hear everything. And my kids' minds were blown.
That someone could ride a bike that far.
Well, also that he locally will ride up to Bogus Basin, which is our local ski resort.
Yeah.
It's a ski resort, guys. You have to go up a mountain.
And it's a steep mountain.
It's a steep mountain.
Steep, windy mountain with not much shoulder. It makes me nervous when he does that.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
And he does that for training. And what is it, 60-something miles round trip? Mm-hmm. And he does it in 3 hours?
Something like that.
Whatever.
I know.
I don't understand that. You think I don't understand Run Disney? I for sure don't understand that one.
Yeah. Yep. It's a different mindset for sure than I have.
You know what he deserves?
What?
A turkey leg.
He does. He needed a protein load on a turkey leg. We got some yummy takeout in Portland. It was like fire roasted chicken, because that's usually what people want post-race is some protein and a little bit of carbs. So we did, it was like roasted sweet potatoes, roasted chicken. It was really good. It was called Mama Bird. If anybody is in the Portland area, go check out Mama Bird. It was yummy.
Better than Bird's hot chicken that we ate in Anaheim after our gumball rally.
Yes, but just a little bit.
Don't. I mean, it was fine. It was probably really good, except for when you're tired and hot and dehydrated, it's not
No,
good.
and it was too spicy for me.
Way too spicy. Birds and Mama Bird are not related.
So then Sunday we spent all day at the Oregon coast. We started in Newport and drove up to Cannon Beach and then back to Portland. So that was a long day in the car as well, but totally worth it. It's so beautiful out there.
It is beautiful.
I love the Oregon coast.
I just love the ocean.
Yeah,
any ocean.
Right? I know. It's so soul soothing.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so
calming.
good for your soul.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Shall we read a review?
Let's do it.
All right. This one is from California, I almost said dental. California Disney teacher, CA Disney teacher. And the heading is, love these gals, 5 stars. I just found this podcast and I'm binge listening to it because I love it. I'm a huge Disneyland lover from far northern California and a current Dream Key holder. Erin and Katie are informative and funny. This podcast is a perfect complement to the Facebook group that I'm a member of. Thank you both for taking your time to share your love and knowledge of Disney. You make me feel like my Disneyland obsession is not odd. Good.
We like fellow oddballs.
But more like a superpower that only a few of us have.
Nice.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah. I would say it's a superpower.
Yeah,
for sure.
I like it. Yes. Yes. If I could pick a superpower, I guess that's what I'd pick.
This is it.
That works.
Thank you, California Disney teacher.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate it.
We love those reviews. All right, let's talk about news. Disneyland had its birthday this weekend. Happy birthday.
68 years young.
Yeah, and they had some kind of special cavalcade that day.
Which they typically do if you're there that day. A lot of people, a lot of influencers you'll see are there doing an opening day attraction challenge of some sort. What's your favorite opening day attraction?
For me?
Yeah.
Probably the train.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I think that's mine as well.
Yeah.
Although we watched A Little Fresh Baked last night, and David was in the parks, and he rode all of the opening day attractions, and he compared them to some video footage from opening day.
Okay.
I also really, really, really love the Storybook Land canal boats at night.
Yeah.
Love them.
Yes. There's something about twinkle lights that
Yes.
just make everything so magical.
I agree.
Right?
And those arches that you go under. So that, I love Peter Pan. I think I shared this on Facebook, or I shared it on Facebook and Instagram, and I asked everybody what their favorite opening day attraction. I think the only one I didn't see anybody list was Casey Jr.
Oh, I always forget that's an opening day attraction too.
I know.
It's the forgotten ride.
Maybe. The Mark Twain I love so much. I love the Jungle Cruise, which also, for me, always I forget that it's an opening day attraction because it seems more modern.
Yeah. Well, it feels like that whole area over there was a second phase, right?
Right.
Because, Pirates wasn't an opening day attraction.
Right. And Indy for sure wasn't.
Right. So, and neither was the Haunted Mansion.
Right.
So all of that just feels like it shouldn't have been. But Jungle Cruise, I guess that was the end of the line over there.
I know.
For opening day. But
I love it.
It's all so good. It would have been so fun to be there.
It would have been.
Opening day. We did a ton of Disney trivia while we were on the road.
You did?
Yes. It was fun. Because we had Heath's mom with us.
Right.
And she's a fellow Disney lover. So I think she had it pulled up on her app, like the Play Parks app maybe.
Okay.
I'm not sure where she had it pulled up. I did a lot of the driving, so I was mostly listening and participating, not reading. But
right.
Yeah, it was fun.
We say this all the time. We need to have a pizza night and do Disney trivia with all the kids.
Yeah, that would be fun. Jack and Asher would kill it. The rest of us would be sitting there going, how did you know that?
I know. And we'd have to trust them.
Yes.
That's the thing I've learned with Asher.
In Iger news.
Iger's
not a fan favorite right now.
No, a lot of people aren't a big fan of him. He kind of put his foot in his mouth.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's recanted. I think he's pretty confident in what he said.
Right.
But if you haven't heard, well, we'll talk more about other stuff too. But if you haven't heard, he made some comments about the SAG strike that's happening right now in the world, I guess.
Yeah.
And he talked about how he felt like the strikers are being unreasonable with their requests. And I saw a reference that Bob Iger earns about $74,000 a day. And some of these people that are striking earn about $60,000 a year. And they're being unreasonable, I guess. So he's not a fan favorite. I don't know. But he extended his contract, so that's exciting. He's around for 2 more years. 2 years longer than what they originally said when he came back.
Yeah, kind of crazy. And he was in Idaho actually this last week, or I don't know. There was some conference that they were at in some valley. And he said some things about maybe selling off some of Disney's assets and like maybe ABC is not necessary to keep in the portfolio. And
interesting.
That, Disney Plus has been losing money lately, mostly because of, this is deeper than we probably need to go, but mostly because in India, they lost rights to the cricket streaming. And so that's where a lot of the money is hemorrhaging right now is in India. So he talked about maybe streamlining a little bit there, but they're not selling off Disney Plus. I don't know.
And movies.
It's a lot.
Movies have been struggling.
Yes.
My kids and I were talking about this weekend because we were talking about like the last 3 Disney movies that have come out. And they've all kind of bombed.
Yeah.
Not bombed.
Not bombed, but
Indy's
just not
done
as
okay.
not done as well as they could have.
Right. And I think, though, as a whole, you don't hear about movies that do amazing at the box office very often anymore.
Right.
And I think it's because of streaming. I think streaming has kind of destroyed a lot of things.
Right. And that actually is probably a byproduct of COVID, too, right? Like, we got used to being at home and streaming, and actually sometimes that's more fun than having to go to the movie.
Though, I don't know what movies are in the theater ever.
Right.
And so I never see an ad because I'm streaming. I'm watching whatever I'm watching at home.
Right.
I don't know the movies that are in the why do I keep wanting to say computer? I don't know the movies that are in the theater. I'm not excited for them because I know nothing about them.
Right.
And so I think this is part of what's being included in this Screen Actors Guild strike is because streaming is so...
It's ambiguous as to how they get paid for streaming, right?
Like, I feel like the internet's ruining everything, guys. As you stream this podcast.
Right.
Keep streaming podcasts, specifically this one, but everything else, we need to go back to movies.
Yeah. Anyways.
Just kidding.
So that was a deep dive we probably didn't need to do. So let's get back to Disney news. Soarin' Around the World has reopened in California Adventure, but there's still scrim up on the outside of it. And
they did not take our suggestion and make one screen Soarin' Around the World and one screen Soarin' over California.
They didn't.
Fine, whatever.
Maybe someday they will.
And as far as other closures, you guys, we've talked about before a lot of closures that we say, if it's coming, don't cancel your trip. It's not worth canceling your trip. This one, you might want to cancel your trip.
Yes.
If you've got one coming up, you might want to rethink it. Golden Zephyr is closing on August 28th.
Deep breaths, everyone. It's going to be okay.
Just kidding. But not kidding. The Golden Zephyr is closing down on the 28th for refurbishment. Boo-hoo.
Yeah. Is it a long... Oh, it doesn't have a reopening date
No,
yet.
the calendar's only going to the 29th.
Gotcha.
I don't think I've ever ridden the Golden Zephyr.
Oh,
never.
I have. Usually, Jack likes to ride it, so anytime he's with me, we'll take a spin on it. Literally. Take a spin on the Golden Zephyr.
That's probably why I haven't ridden it. Also, it doesn't run midday because it gets too hot.
Right. The line is never super long for it. The fun thing about it is once you're up in the air, there's a nice breeze and you're over the water. So
I can't imagine why there's no line for it ever. Don't cancel your trips.
If you have littles, it's kind of a fun ride. Any other closures happening?
We've talked
just the ones that we've already mentioned.
Yeah, and you guys, I always forget what we've talked about and what dates we haven't. So let me just go over it really quickly.
Okay.
We talked about Radiator Springs Racers and how it is closing. So I know that's a big one for a lot of people. Radiator Springs is closing down on August 18th, and it will be back up on the 28th. So it is only down for 10 days.
But 10 days is...
Actually, it'll be back up on the 27th. That's random. Usually, when they close something down, they'll close it on a Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll reopen it on a Friday so that it's open for the weekend. That's kind of their pattern. The 27th is a Sunday. So I think they must just be getting ready for Halloween.
That's what I'm thinking
trying to get
too.
ready for Halloween, scrambling and getting things in tip-top condition.
Yeah. It'd be fun if they did a Halloween overlay on Radiator Springs. I mean,
really
they kind of do with the mountains, right? They get the purple and orange
and the other
colors
two
on there.
rides are both Halloween overlaid, but not Radiator Springs Racers.
Yeah. I don't know how they would overlay it.
You could race them in their costume cars.
Yeah, maybe they could put some Halloween decorations in the town inside the ride. Yeah, I think that'd be fun.
It'd be cute.
Pepita, the puppet in the Magic Happens parade, which usually walks around on the ground. It has puppeteers inside of it. They've moved it to a platform now, and I don't know what the reasoning is for it.
That's interesting.
But so now it glides around on a platform. It still looks like it's walking.
Right.
It still has puppeteers in it, but it's not touching the ground anymore. So I don't know. Maybe his paws were getting burned.
Or I wonder if it had something to do with the puppeteers. I wonder if because of the tracks in the road, maybe they were getting stuck, or maybe they were having issues.
Maybe they were rolling their ankles
because they couldn't
in the
see.
tracks. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wonder.
Possibly.
I roll my ankles and I can see them.
Anyway, luckily he's still there. Pepita. Is Pepita a boy or a girl?
Sure. You bet.
It's the big cat, the Alebrije.
Yes. The Coco Cat.
Yes, the Coco Cat. San Francisco Square news. We'll have a music loop featuring songs from Epcot, which I don't know which Epcot songs, and I don't know why.
That's weird.
Yeah. And then 4 songs from the Happy Ride with Baymax from Tokyo Disneyland, which I think sounds kind of fun. Right. I haven't listened to them yet. They're available. If you go Google it, you can go listen to the 4 songs.
Also, side note, we talked about these guys with the kids episode too. If you don't watch Provost Park Pass, go watch them. They are currently doing a worldwide Disney tour.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, they started in California, and then they went to Tokyo. They've done some other things along the way. Currently, they're in Hong Kong.
Mm-hmm.
And then I imagine Shanghai's next, then Paris, and then they'll end in Walt Disney World. But they're doing little things along the way too. But I got to see some Tokyo Disney, which was so cool. And I also got to see some Hong Kong yesterday, which I'm ready. Let's go. Let's go to any of these.
Aaron pulled up pricing, and it looks like it's pretty affordable. So
the flights to get there are not.
Maybe we just take a really cheap slow boat over there.
Right? I texted Katie yesterday, and I was like, Katie, Hong Kong Disney's not very expensive. Let's go.
I love it. That would be so fun.
But speaking of Tokyo, they have a lot of Baymax stuff over there.
Yeah.
And so they got to see some of that. Anyway,
so
it's kind of fun. Go
someday
check it out.
We'll make it over there. And San Francisco Square, of course, opens August 31st, right ahead of Halloween time. So that will be good timing. All right. And then some Disney World news, just because we like to throw that in every once in a while. Mears is merging with Sunshine Flyer. So the transportation available from the airport to Disney World is now merging into one company. I don't know. It remains to be seen.
The only thing, we've talked about this before when we went to Orlando, Mears offers 24 hours of service, and Sunshine Flyer did not.
Right.
And now?
So hopefully they take the best of both companies and merge it into one.
I read that they will keep the 24-hour service, which is nice.
Yes.
I would love for them to all have the cute little trolleys, the little train-looking.
They're not keeping the train theme, which
Sad.
I'm actually really sad about. That was
sad.
one of my favorite parts of it. The nice thing is, though, that they will pick up at all 3 terminals at Orlando now, whereas before, if you landed in Terminal C, which I believe is like JetBlue and a couple of other airlines, you had to figure out how to get to terminals A and B to get picked up.
And also, when we landed in, what would we land in? Terminal?
I don't know, A or B.
And
I don't
then we had
remember
to
which
schlep
is
our
which.
luggage all the way across the airport to get to the other terminal.
Right.
That'll be nice.
So I've heard, yes, that is going to be an upgrade. So
Good.
it'll be nice. Anyways, and then Epcot is going to get some 100th anniversary celebration stuff starting this fall. I don't know what it is, but people are assuming that it's going to coincide with the opening of Moana Journey Through Water. Journey Through Water?
Sure.
I don't know.
I don't either.
I'm
But that
like, is it
area.
Journey Through Imagination of Water?
That is not it. Water World.
Water World. There it is. Moana's Water World.
That's probably what everyone's going to call it anyway. Waterland. How do I get to Waterland?
Yes.
But a lot of people are speculating that
Yeah.
that's going to open at the same time.
Yeah.
They haven't announced it, but
Nope. And Epcot, of course, has Food and Wine Festival going on currently, or it starts in a couple weeks. I don't remember. And that'll be going on through the fall, too. So Epcot will be busy this fall.
don't come for us. We're not a Disney World podcast.
No.
We say this all the time. We are Disneyland.
But we just want to keep you a little bit in the loop, just because 100th, is going on.
It's all encompassing.
at every Disney park, right? Okay.
Let's briefly chat about Oogie Boogie.
Oh, yeah.
Oogie Boogie tickets. We talked about it last week. We were getting ready. We were doing our calisthenics to get ready for the Oogie Boogie sale that happened on Tuesday. It was another dumpster fire.
It was, but not for everybody.
Not for everybody. And I would say, okay, with the disclaimer, I know we have listeners who had poor experiences, and I'm not discounting that. I will say that this time it seemed to run more smoothly.
And people were getting through legitimately
Correct.
this time
People
instead
were
of backdoor.
Yes, people were getting through legitimately. The queue never actually went down. It seems like it kind of moved seamlessly throughout the day. What happened, though, I think, is just there were so many people in that waiting room. And we mentioned this last week, when you are put in that waiting room ahead of time before the queue opens. Once the queue opens, you get a random spot in the queue. And I think there were just so many people in that waiting room that when the queue opened, or if you joined the queue after it opened and you were placed at the end, it was just a long wait.
Yes.
And
your chances of getting in to buy tickets got slimmer and slimmer the
and
longer the
slimmer.
day went on.
And they did sell out
They sold out for the first time ever
on day one.
on day one.
8 hours. And I know people waited in the queue all day long and didn't get tickets.
Yes.
I got tickets, and I'm the first to admit it was luck. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't
luck
anything
of
I
the
did
draw.
special. It was just I got lucky. And, I recognize that some people didn't, and I'm sorry.
Yes.
It sucks.
It was kind
But-
of a heartbreaking day. It was bittersweet, right?
Right. And I will say, all is not lost. Oogie Boogie's a great event. It is. And if you want to go, try again another time. If you didn't get tickets this time. If you didn't get tickets this time, though, add an additional day onto your park tickets and do something else. My kids, we talked about it because I'm taking Kenley and her best friend for their birthdays. And I said, girls, if we don't get tickets, what do you want to do? And it would have been less expensive for us to add an additional full day at a park and not go to Oogie Boogie. And so, glass half empty, obviously, if you don't get your tickets, but you can still turn it around and make it okay.
You can pivot, right?
Right.
And, if by chance you go that week that you wanted to go anyway, and sometimes they will hold tickets at the ticket booth for purchase for that night.
Yeah.
That's obviously a long shot, but also staying at one of the Disneyland resort hotels gives you a good chance of getting tickets for that evening. So, all is not lost.
Right. But
yeah, like you said, just be ready to pivot and
yeah. And
you'll still have an amazing time.
now Disney has a year to figure it out. I wish, okay, let's talk about this for just a second. What could they do better?
So, we talk about all the time how weird it is that Disney World starts their Halloween parties in August, but I can see why they need to do that.
Right.
Because of the popularity of them.
And they have no problem
Right.
in Disney World.
Right. Just to have so many dates available that it's just not the scarcity issue that it is here.
Right. They're non-transferable, not sellable, whatever the word is. people buy them and sell them. They were on eBay that night for tons and tons of money.
Yeah.
However, I've seen that they're not there anymore. You can't find very many. I think Disney's cracking down on it.
Which I'm glad of.
I saw a post on a Facebook forum yesterday. Someone who just said, please don't judge me. I'm a single mom. I bought tickets. I sold them and my magic key was revoked. What do I do? And so I think Disney pays attention. They really do. We talked about this last week too. They pay attention. We talked about it from the perspective of if you are listening and you didn't get tickets and you want to get tickets, just,
be real careful.
Yes, because if Disney figures out that you're buying scalped tickets, they're going to cancel them and you're going to be out the money.
Yeah.
So I think Disney is trying to do everything they can as far as that's concerned. What about releasing, a week at a time or something?
Yeah, I mean, the issue with that people have pointed out is what if the date that you want is sold out by the time it's released and your backup date was a previous date that was on sale and that one's sold out too.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know what the
What
solution
about
is
day
either.
of tickets? Like, what about holding on to, 100 tickets that are day of tickets for people who didn't, and maybe they do.
Yeah, maybe.
But
or maybe even like 6 weeks ahead of time, the way that they release their park schedule, right? That's when tickets go on sale because it's really hard to plan, especially since it's kind of a locals park.
Yeah.
I don't think most people know exactly what they're going to be doing this far out.
Right.
So,
or what about a virtual queue, like what they do? And I mean, I know we get put into a queue, but what if you were assigned a number and you knew exactly where you were in that queue?
Right. You may be called back to the queue in 150 minutes or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like there's got to be a better way. Because this is just, we had some feedback from people who waited the first day in an 8-hour queue to have it shut down, and then the second day in another 8-hour queue to get nothing.
Right.
And so 16 hours of their life was wasted, and they came away empty-handed. And that's frustrating.
It is frustrating.
There's got to be a better way.
But the hard thing is Disney is still selling out those tickets. So do they have any incentive to fix things?
No.
Not really.
Probably not.
I mean, I guess they maybe want guest satisfaction ratings that are higher, but
Bob Iger would probably say we're being unreasonable. And with that...
that's the news.
You've heard us talk about Anchor before. Anchor was recently acquired by Spotify and has become Spotify for podcasters.
And we love this interface. We've been using it for a long time, and we feel like it is super user-friendly. It made it so easy for us to start a podcast.
Yes, and we have equipment available to us at our local library. You know we love our library, and that's where we record. But if you don't have that available to you, Spotify for podcasters allows you to record and edit all from your phone. And upload to Spotify, obviously, and any other podcasting platform you can think of, such as Apple Podcasts, Audible, Amazon Music, anything.
Yeah. And you have the option to do Q&A with your listeners. You can monetize your podcast through subscriptions or through ads. It's super user-friendly, super easy to do.
And best of all, it's free.
And it's free.
And there's no catch. So if you're interested in starting a podcast, and you could today, you want to visit www.spotify.com/podcasters or download the Spotify for Podcasters app.
And good luck. Go start a podcast.
Mouse World Travel is an authorized Disney vacation planner specializing in vacation destinations all over the world. From frequent theme park getaways to annual family cruises to once-in-a-lifetime epic worldwide adventures, we can help you make those dreams a reality. At Mouse World Travel, we focus on quality vacations to provide guests with the most optimal experience. Our agents treat each trip as if it were their own, which means a special, personalized vacation just for you. Our agents provide concierge-level service during the vacation planning process, including offering recommendations to fit your family's needs, such as help choosing hotel or dining locations, suggesting add-ons or extras that we think your family might enjoy, offering tips and tricks to make the most out of your vacation, and answering questions to help you plan efficiently. Some of our more popular vacation destinations include cruise lines such as Norwegian and Royal Caribbean, all-inclusive destinations such as Sandals and Beaches, Universal Parks and Resorts, and, of course, the various Disney destinations, which include the theme parks, Disney Cruise Line, Adventures by Disney, and Alani. There's something for everyone, and no matter what type of vacation you're looking for, an expert agent at Mouse World Travel will help you get there.
What's up? It's Kaylee Cuoco. When it comes to travel, we all have a happy place. I just went to my happy place. I just went to Maui, and it was truly amazing. Priceline has always been about getting you to your happy place for a happy price with deals you really can't find anywhere else. Like up to 60% off select hotels in Costa Rica or 5-star hotels for 2-star prices in Cabo.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
It's been so long since we were at Disneyland that we had to pull up our pictures so we knew what the heck we did.
It's fun to spread these recaps out over a couple of weeks, but it's also real hard on our brains.
Right. Our brains are old lady brains. So forgive us.
Yes. We had such a fun episode last week. Thanks again, Dugan, for being on with us.
Yeah, we got some good feedback, too. People
great
like
episode.
Dugan. Maybe Dugan should be regular.
Maybe he could be our monthly guest.
He could be our beat on the street or something.
Oh, I like it.
I know. Okay, what did we rope drop at DCA? So our second day was a DCA day.
Yeah. Can you guess what we rope dropped?
We rope dropped the Golden Zephyr.
Because we knew it was going to be closing.
We
and
did.
we wouldn't get a chance to ride it ever again.
That is not right, guys.
We rope dropped another ride that starts with a G, though.
Guardians of the Galaxy, Mission Breakout. So we rope dropped it. We learned something really quickly on this. We rope dropped it. We got tangled in the rope drop line, which was fine. We account for that. We were on within
15 minutes?
Let me look because I have pictures. Hold on. Let me turn it down because this is a video. 30. We backed out at 8:29.
Okay.
So it took about 30 minutes for us to get in and ride it the first time. But then we were back on it within 15 minutes. So like by the time we rode it, got off, got back in line, and we were backing out in the gantry lift again, was 15 minutes.
Right, and that 15 minutes includes the show, the pre-show, and the line after you get out of the pre-show.
It was a walk-on, essentially, the second time.
Yep.
So we learned that, and we laughed. We actually had a little giggle about this because while we were in the big line walking over to Guardians, Katie said, "Are people really rope dropping Monsters, Inc.?" And we were like, maybe, because there were people going that direction. If you have kids, maybe go rope drop Monsters, Inc. and then go to Guardians because the line cleared right out.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, Monsters has been pretty popular the last few times we've been.
Yeah.
That line is longer than it's ever been in my memory.
I know, it's always long.
Yeah.
And really, I mean, it's super cute. It's nothing exciting.
No.
But it's cute.
It's worth going on every time. But you could also use a lightning lane on it. So
yes, and we'll touch on this a little bit later. Or no, let's touch on it now. We wrote it.
Yeah.
They also offer a buddy pass.
Yes.
And I don't know that a lot of people know what that is. So we'll tell you. It's Toy Story Midway Mania also offers it a lot less often than Monsters does.
Okay.
But it is a pass if there's a cast member at the entrance under an umbrella. If you go up to them and ask if they're offering a buddy pass and you have a party of 1, 2, or 2 and a child, so like a
lap child.
Basically a row, what you could fit into one row of the ride. They'll give you a buddy pass. You go in through the exit and you wait there. We were second, third in line.
Took us like 5 minutes to get on.
And it took us about 5 minutes to get on. And I think there was about a 35 or 45 minute wait at the time.
Yeah.
So it's basically to fill a row because sometimes they'll put a family in there and then the next group, because it's a family ride, right?
Right.
So then the next group's a family and the next group's a family and they've got this empty row in the vehicle.
And they don't always have parties of 2 waiting to fill that row.
Right.
Which is what your buddy pass gets you.
Correct.
It's a party of 2. And you can tell without even asking if the cast member's holding. Are they green cards?
I think
yellow
they're
or green
red.
or
I
red.
think this time they were red. Let me look.
But they'll be holding some kind of card.
No, they were green.
And
Good
it looks
job.
like the single rider pass, kind of.
Yep.
Yeah.
So and
watch
I'll
for
share
that.
that on Instagram this week, and you can see exactly what we're looking at. But
that's a good option.
Yeah. On the funny story, when I held it up and took a picture of it, I took a picture of the Spanish side. So I'm not exactly sure what it says. Although Katie is on day 100 and something of her Duolingo streak, so maybe she could tell us.
Maybe.
Why do I do things like that? Why am I the way that I am?
That's funny. Post it. Maybe someone will translate it for us.
That'd be great.
So, yes, we rope dropped Guardians. Went twice in a row on Guardians. And then
Did not get our song.
It's
been a long time since we've gotten our song. We were very hopeful.
Yep. And then what did we do after that?
And then we went over to Toy Story Midway Mania, which is one of my other favorites. We used a lightning lane for that. I wouldn't. Well,
It depends.
It depends. We walked over and there was a line and we didn't want to wait in the line. It's one that I like to ride twice.
Yes. And I feel like it depends on if we had only done Guardians once and then headed over to Toy Story, we probably would have just waited because it would have been a shorter line at that point. But we had, spent enough of the park morning already going on Guardians that the line had time to build up. But that's a good one to rope drop if you have littles too.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, I wonder if you could rope drop that and then head to Guardians and have
maybe
a pretty low weight that way.
Probably.
Do you remember back in the day when we used to talk about rope dropping over by Ariel's? They don't let you do that anymore.
No.
Which is sad because that would be perfect to run over to Toy Story and then run to Guardians and get on both quickly.
Yeah. We don't recommend rope dropping in Credicoaster, and that is because the line remains relatively short most of the day.
Right.
Because it has such a high height requirement. Most families aren't headed over that direction.
Yes, and if you can utilize single rider, that's always an option.
Although the single rider line was pretty long through most of the day. That day we were there. But yeah, so you could either ride that in the standby line, which is a little bit shorter than most of the other lines in the park, or use a lightning lane on it later in the day.
So don't let a long line there
deter you.
And I would say that is the same for the single rider line. Even if it looks long,
it moves pretty quickly.
I think when we were there, we were watching, I was kind of paying attention. I think they were putting 3 single riders on per train.
Yeah.
So they run through it pretty quickly.
It's a high capacity ride. It's a high loading ride.
And it moves quickly. Ariel, we went and did Ariel.
I love Ariel.
I do too. Best air conditioning in DC. No, well, it's good. It's good.
It's one of the most relaxing rides at DCA, I would say.
For sure. You can just sit back and
you could take a nap if you want.
Right, a quick one. And then Katie tried and tried and tried because at this point in time it was 10 a.m. She tried and tried and tried and tried and tried to get me to ride Grizzly River. And I said, no, Katie.
It was hot enough that day. It probably would have felt good.
No, it wouldn't have.
Not my favorite, though.
I just don't like being wet. But listen, by 10 a.m., we had done Guardians twice, Toy Story Midway Mania, and Ariel's Undersea Adventure. So we'd done 4 rides in those first 2 hours. So again, another plug for rope dropping. You get there, you wait in a little bit of a line, but then you get to do 4 rides in the first 2 hours. Yeah. Or I think we did 5 at Disneyland when we rope dropped. So there's bonuses. I mean, there's reasons to rope drop.
And we actually weren't super rope droppers that day. We walked up right as the music was playing for the rope to drop. So we timed it pretty well.
Which is why we got tangled up in a half an hour line.
Yes, right. But if you get there a little bit before rope drop, you can be towards the front of that line to get to whatever ride you're going to.
Then we made our way over to Rogers the Musical so that we could have a
cry.
watch. No, so we could see it. Because we begged. I have a picture of you begging to get in, and they let us in. Oh,
that's right.
And they showed us. They did not. We did have a cry, a sad little cry. We were so excited. Let's talk about this. We were so excited when they announced the opening date for Rogers the Musical because we have a bad habit of showing up toward the end of things, toward the end of Food and Wine or toward the end of
Halloween season.
That's just when it works out with our kids and it works out. We have this bad luck. We were so excited to be there for opening weekend of something. And we were like, yes, we're going to be there. We're going to be able to tell our listeners all about it. And then they announced the days that it was going to be showing.
Yes,
we have the
not
worst
our days.
luck.
Let's talk about that real fast, though. Rogers wasn't playing for almost 6 days straight this last weekend because of the Haunted Mansion, premiere, whatever, that they were doing at the Hyperion, which was supposed to have the actors at, but because of the strike, they did not show up. But the cast members still got to watch the movie in the Hyperion, which I thought was pretty cool.
Cast members and a lot of influencers got to go.
So that sounded fun to be there for that. It would have been more fun with the actors, of course.
Of course.
They had already done their little publicity stunt over at the Haunted Mansion a couple weeks earlier. So they got that.
Well, I don't know.
But a lot of people were upset that Rogers wasn't playing those days that they were going to be there and, were upset that they didn't get a heads up about it. However,
welcome to our world.
Disney did actually give a heads up on that.
We got a week heads up. That's all. I think they announced the actual days 2 weeks before.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not bitter.
Not at all.
No. Then we went to PIM for an early lunch. We sat down to eat at PIM at 11 o'clock.
That's 12 o'clock our time.
Right. So that's fair.
That's lunchtime.
And it was delicious.
Worth it.
I need to go eat there again now.
We both had not so little chicken sandwiches, right?
We did.
Yeah.
And tots with cheese sauce. I think, did we get the exact same thing? without even
so.
trying.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds right. But it was phenomenal. Always go
was.
eat there. Okay, then we took a little break. We went and sat in Paradise Garden while we were waiting for our lightning lane for Goofy Sky School. We had some time to kill. Guys, that's one of my favorite spots.
It's so great.
It's a new favorite for me.
That's always been a favorite for me, especially
it?
when the bands are playing. I love the entertainment over there.
I do too.
Yeah.
And it's all shady
Yes.
and it's... Anyway, there was a band, the Christopher Brothers.
Yes, they're so cute.
They were so good.
They did a lot of cover songs of like late 90s, early 2000s
Like grunge
songs,
rock.
and then a lot of Disney cover songs, which was really fun.
Which they made kind of grungy.
yeah,
It was fun.
they were very cute.
They were so cute. So if you're there, go back, see who's performing on the stage, on the main stage back there. Grab something to eat.
It's super shady.
Super
it's
shady.
lovely. We had the s'mores churro, which we both agreed not as good as the fluffernutter, obviously, but it was decent. I liked it.
Disney, it's time.
Yeah.
It's time to
Just-
bring back the fluffernutter.
Just slap some peanut butter sauce on it. It's not that hard.
Right. It's not. I think that's the exact same thing. We should have brought our own.
We should have just
Stand there and drizzle some peanut butter on
a
it.
ketchup bottle full of peanut butter sauce. Sneak that in.
Anyway, it was fine. It's not fluffernutter.
Yeah.
We went into Boudin and we watched them make some Mickey breads, which we always take those home as a souvenir for our kids. I think we've mentioned that before. We
Yep.
grab a loaf of the Mickey sourdough.
Yep.
Of course, we risked our lives entering and exiting the vehicles on Goofy's Sky School. It was great. Then we saw Nick Fury.
We got to meet Nick Fury, which he was fantastic.
He was.
I was a big fan of that. It's like a little show that he does. He's
Yes.
not just out there meeting and greeting. He's, doing some audience participation questions and having volunteers come up and do a fun little activity.
He's funny.
He's really funny.
And he's a little, he pokes a little bit of fun at the people in the audience.
which is very in character. And I thought he looked great.
Yes.
However, it was so hot and he was covered from head to toe in black garb
and a beanie.
and a beanie and gloves.
An eye mask or an eye patch.
Yeah. And
Poor
he
guy.
was probably out there for a good 10, 15 minutes. That got so hot.
It
right
did
out
get
there in the
really
blazing
hot.
sun.
Yes, poor guy.
And then we had some people try to pawn their kids off on us.
That was so weird. Okay,
Let's talk about etiquette.
which we want to do a whole episode on
Yes,
etiquette.
we will. But this is part of what sparked our idea for doing an
Yes.
etiquette episode.
So we were standing where we were standing, like where we got there. We were next to a family from Long Island, and the father of the family was in a scooter, and then he had his adult daughter maybe,
And her husband, maybe? Yeah.
Anyway, that's what the dynamic felt like to us. And they did the audience participation bit, and then when they released everybody to go back to their people, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this woman rolls her stroller up
A double stroller, too, like a double
double
jogging stroller. Like it's
with-
a big stroller.
with not babies, like toddlers, like 4 and 5-year-old maybe, and parks it right in front of us, like where we've been standing the entire time watching.
Yeah.
And the guy's on a scooter, so he's low, right?
Yeah.
And he's standing right next to us. And then they leave.
Well, and she says, "Do you mind if my kids sit here?" and doesn't wait for an answer. And then they hightail it out like, I don't know, 15 yards away.
Yeah.
Like they're not even close
back
by.
to the back of the
Yeah.
group. But man, their kids got to see what they, and like, I get it. I get, wanting your kids to be able to see things.
Sure.
But also take them out of the stroller and hold them. Then they're your eye level. They can see stuff from there. Right?
And also the show only had maybe like 1 or 2 minutes left in it total.
Yeah,
anyway.
not very long. But to come up and park it in front of people who have been there the whole time, it's just not. And honestly,
And he wasn't standing either. He was in his scooter. And so
Right.
that stroller kind of cut his sight.
right.
Cut his sight line.
I'll say this. If I see children around me, for sure, move forward. I'm happy to let you. In fact, maybe a standing child. Move forward, and I'm happy to let you stand there. I'm happy to make room for kids because I want them to be able to see. But also, I struggle with entitlement.
Yes. Well, and I just think it's more of an awareness thing too.
Right,
Like just be
right.
aware of the people around
Which
you.
at Disneyland, nobody is.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Anyway, it was weird.
It was.
And the guy looked over at me and he's like, I guess I have kids now. And I just started laughing and I was like, congrats. It's a boy and a girl, it looks like. And he was just like, what the heck just happened? And it was like touching his scooter, right on top of him.
Yeah.
And
It was so funny
was
and bizarre.
Bizarre. And like I said, they were gone. They went back to the edges.
They might have gone to Pim Tasting Lab and gotten a drink
I
for
think
all
that they
we know.
had drinks. So they were standing off to the side enjoying their drinks.
Yes.
While we had their kids for
They thought
5
it was
minutes.
the Nick Fury daycare hour.
It was odd. It was fine, whatever.
Yes.
But just be aware of the people around you.
Be
and
aware. And if you are, super interested in seeing one of those shows, they are on the entertainment schedule. Like you can get in there and see when, Nick Fury is coming out.
Yeah,
and
it's
you
not
could
a
get there like
surprise.
10 minutes early if you wanted a front row seat,
And
right?
hover, right.
Like people have been there for a long time waiting for him to come. It's not
Right.
it's not a walk up and get a front seat. Whatever.
I mean, I guess if you have a bulldozer of a stroller.
I guess so.
You just can have whatever seat
yeah,
you want.
I mean, do what you can get away with, I suppose.
Then we went and took our daily nap,
Yes.
which I highly recommend.
Yes.
I enjoyed that.
And did we take the trolley back
I think
to
so.
the hotel?
I think so.
Yeah.
It was great. I
Love that trolley.
loved that trolley. I highly recommend the nap.
Mm-hmm.
And then we stacked up a few lightning lanes for the afternoon. Guess what our first one was? Guardians. We afternoon rope drop Guardians. And guess what?
We got our song.
We got the Jackson 5. I was so flippin' excited.
I want you back.
Yes, it's
So
the
good.
best. And then that's when we went over and did Monsters, Inc. But at that point, it was 7 o'clock at night.
Mm-hmm.
But the wait time for Monsters, Inc. at that point was 45 minutes. And we were on, I think, in 3. I think
Yeah.
is what we timed it.
Yeah.
So try that. If the Buddy Pass is available, give it a try. It's worth it. Get you on quicker.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably would not wait for 45 minutes for that ride.
No, I wouldn't either.
I mean, if it was your first time ever, sure, fine, whatever. I would lightning lane it if you have Genie Plus. If you have to wait and stand by, do it, fine.
Or rope drop it.
Or rope drop it, because apparently that's a thing. But if you only have 2 or 3 in your party, go through the backside and
Buddy pass it.
Yep. I think it's a great way to do it. We did Radiator Springs at dusk. We always recommend that. We did that in the single rider line. We had somewhere we had to be, and so we were kind of trying to get our timing correctly because we had a couple things we still wanted to do. The line was pretty long, but
The single rider line was
was.
really long.
but we got in fairly quickly. I would say I think we waited about a half an hour.
Maybe a half hour, which is longer than normal for a single rider for that ride. But
Right. But I think the standby was 90 minutes
yeah,
when we got into
so
line.
Totally worth it.
Totally worth it.
And let's talk about a little bit more etiquette.
A little bit more etiquette.
We watched some people get booted out of the line for line jumping. So
Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if they got booted from the park.
maybe.
I feel like that
He
may
followed
have
them
happened.
out.
Yes. Yeah, they jumped the line.
So once you get in the single rider line, there is a section of the line where it's real easy to jump over to the lightning lane, which people have paid for.
Right.
People pay, $15 to $20 to be able to stand in that line. And so if you're getting in the single rider line and jumping over there, I mean, that's
You're stealing.
already, even if you hadn't paid, even if it wasn't a paid lightning lane line, right? You're
Right.
already like breaking the rules pretty
Right.
badly.
Right.
But the hubris.
Yes. Yes.
And we watched
I mean,
probably
it's shoplifting,
Yeah.
essentially.
Right. We watched probably 6 people hop that line. Only 2 of them got caught. I don't know what happened to the other 4. Maybe they got found later, but a cast member just happened to be walking by and saw what was happening and came and grabbed those 2 and escorted them right out of the line. And
Well, at first he yelled at them to get out.
that's right.
And so they turned around and they started to walk up and they tried to do it again.
Yes.
They got like around the corner where he couldn't see them.
And then
which
tried to walk
They
up
thought
again.
he couldn't see him, but he was kind of walking along the line to see if they left. And they tried to do it again. And at that point he went and he took them out. And I imagine, I think that's reason enough to be escorted
I
out of
think
the park.
so too.
I do.
It's just rude.
It is rude. It's not, again, it's bad etiquette. It's bad form. It's, like I said, it's essentially shoplifting.
Right.
You're taking something that doesn't belong to you that you didn't pay for.
Right. It's immoral.
Yeah. So anyway, don't do it.
Do it. It's not worth it. And then we headed over to check in for our dessert party after that, right?
No, we went to Incredicoaster.
Oh, that's right.
We went and did Incredicoaster
That's
afterwards.
right.
And
This is a cool story.
It is a cool story. I don't know the last. I know I've done it before. I don't know the last time that I've ridden. It might have been California Screamin' the last time I rode it at night. We always do it. My kids are so excited to do it. It's something we do during the day. And then by the end of the day, I'm like, I already rode it. Go for it. I can sit it out and I'll let them go do it. We rode it at dusk. We rode it at 9 o'clock.
Right. And typically, well, in the past, it shuts down during World of Color. And so it's harder to ride it at night than it used to be. But recently, in the last month, they've decided to open up that area of Pixar Pier back there during World of Color. So we got to ride it during World of Color, which was really cool.
Super cool. They were a little late starting World of Color, which kind of panicked us. We were like, what is happening? In fact, the cast member that we asked for row 1, we were trying to like delay it because we really wanted to time it when we realized we could. And so we asked for row 1, which I think we were the third party that wanted row 1, which was perfect.
Yeah.
Because we were waiting. And when we got up there, it was 9 o'clock. And the lights weren't dimming anywhere.
Right.
And the cast member even was like, what is going on? The lights aren't dimming. And we were like, we just noticed that too. And he says, yeah, they should be out by now. And so I think it started at like 9:03 or something, a couple of minutes late. But we got to ride during World of Color.
That was very cool.
It was so
I
cool.
think that we were riding during the Elemental pre-show is what we were riding during, which really, really fun. Just to see the lights and the color and the water and all of that was really fun.
And it's a totally different ride at night.
Yes.
I think
so fun. You can see so much better in the tunnels at night, the Incredibles characters. So that's fun. And
I just love everything more at night.
Yeah.
And it was so good at night.
Very cool.
And then we had World of Color dessert reservations and we did the dessert party. We each have done it before.
Yes.
It's worth it if you want to splurge. You get to have a seat.
Yeah.
You get to have a little tray of cheeses, grapes, crackers, desserts.
Yep. I would say the only downside to the dessert party is the line that you have to wait in before you get seated.
I agree with that.
It's kind of tucked back in there behind Grizzly River Run. So you feel kind of isolated from the rest of the park and you're just standing there. We probably stood there 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes.
I wish that you could come check in, get your wristband, go do something, and then have a time to come check in at the tables and then they see you.
Like a virtual queue.
Right. Why do we have to stand there the whole time?
Right. Because they assign you a table when you check in. They know which table you're going to be sitting at when you check in. So I don't know why the lineup is necessary. Maybe it keeps things a little more organized and efficient. But
And they do. They take you single file over to your seat. I wish that they would just say, your return window is, our show was at 10:15. So I wish they would say your return window is anytime between 9:30 and 9:45.
Right. And then you just show up to the host or hostess that's standing at the entrance of where the dessert party is and they send you to your table, right? That would be nice. We actually, so most tables are for 4 or 5, and we got seated at a table for 4, but it was just the 2 of us, which was kind of nice. We got to spread out a little bit.
Yes. And it's $89. That includes your tax and your gratuity.
Yeah.
It includes your meal, your dessert plate.
Unlimited drinks.
Unlimited soft drinks, waters, hot chocolates, coffees, things like that.
Tea.
And 2 alcoholic beverages per adult. And then kids get like...
Yes, that super cute sipper.
Yes.
Right now they have a 100th anniversary version of the sipper, which looks like a Mickey balloon, I think.
Kind of.
Yeah. With a lanyard around it.
They will not give it to adults.
No.
Period.
Kids only.
Yes. Anyway, I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it in our situation.
I do too.
I don't know that I would do it for my whole entire family, although there was a family of 8 in front of us. That's a pretty penny you're spending.
They had splurged.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's worth it. I like it. It's great.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's great to have that spot. And it's far enough back that you're not getting so much of the water spray, but you still have an excellent view and you're seated. At the end of the day, it's nice to sit.
It is.
And yeah, the dessert is fun. I wouldn't say it's, $89 worth of dessert, but you're paying for the experience, not for the food.
Right.
Which is how most experiences are at Disney, right?
But if you drink, you have the 2 the 2 beverages for adults included in that. So, and before tax, I looked at the breakdown. Before tax, I think it's $71 before tax and gratuity.
Right.
And so $71 for a place to sit for, your drinks and it's not terrible.
No.
But it's a splurge for sure. Anyway,
and we had our waiter was really fun too.
I've always had a good experience with the waiters.
Yeah.
So it's great.
I think so too.
And World of Color is just wonderful.
Yes. And we, of course, did the last showing of World of Color. So we were leaving the park after closing, which is kind of fun to walk down the streets. We did a little shopping. And that was it.
Yes. And then we went and caught our trolley back to the hotel. That was glorious because we were late for the trolley and it was still there.
Yeah.
Some miracle. I don't know what happened.
It was meant to be.
Anyway, it was great. And then we got up bright and early the next day, went to Long Beach and came home.
That's right.
So.
And that wraps it up, friends.
That was a quick trip.
Yeah. Let us know if you have any questions about it. If there's anything we can elaborate on.
Yes. And take a moment, if you haven't, to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. Please. We appreciate them so much. It helps us grow. We have a goal, guys, 550 million. You're on this journey with us.
We'll get there. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Ropedrop.Parkhop and also Facebook the same. And join our fun Facebook group, Rope Dropping and Park Hopping.
We will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.